Ladies and gentlemen, I am the Irish Kaiser, and today we're going to be doing something I've been meaning to do for a long time. Something I've wanted to do for a long time. And that is recording a playthrough of Dark Souls 3. Now, I'm sure you were all quite familiar with this game. It's been out for years. It's 3 or 4 years old at this point. An absolute classic, my most played in the entire series by a long shot. I used to play quite a bit more often. Let's see, we got our sound effects on a little bit too high. Can't see anything. But as you can see, we just started up a new character with the most consistent starting class in the game, the Knight. And I'm thinking that at least for this run, we will be doing, we do the standard of unequipping the shield. No one in their right mind uses shields. They were much more useful in the first game. I haven't really played the second game, so I'm not entirely sure how useful they are. But they were quite a bit more necessary in the first game. But here we are in the third installment in the series. I've never gotten a chance to play either Demon Souls nor Bloodborne, as I do not own a PlayStation. And I was not really a gamer, as one might say, when Demon Souls first emerged. So we're going to be fighting the tutorial boss, Eudix Gundyr. Very simple boss fight, 2 stages, nothing insane. Just stay right up close to him, time your dodges correctly, and you should be perfectly fine. And this is the second stage. You do get hit by the explosion. And in this stage, just stay behind him. Fallen to our blade. But I do have a kind of theme for this playthrough that I would like to accomplish as soon as possible. And I am believing that will be the weapon, which is usually the main focus of any Dark Souls playthrough. And I think I would like to use the Farron Greatsword, the Abyss Watcher boss weapon, as it does have quite a bit of flair to it. And it is something I have used it once in an old playthrough on my old computer. I no longer have access to anything, as I have not backed up or saved anything. Not that thorough. So, unfortunately, I am unable to draw from those resources. But now that we've made it past the first boss, we're over in the hub area, Firelink Shrine. Kill the dog. There's nothing exceptionally difficult about these first areas. They are, as you might say, the tutorial areas. But there are a few hidden bosses, one of them being that man over there, standing oh so menacingly in front of that gate. That is the Sword Master, an NPC who you can fight if you are in need of a good dexterity weapon or the lightest armor in the game. But yes, as well as back in the area preceding the Udikskundir boss fight arena, there is a crystal lizard, which is kind of a mini boss or large opponent, dragon-ish character thing that yields titanite scales when killed. Those are used to upgrade boss weapons. Now, lit the bonfire without any issues, and I chose as my starting item the Sovereignless Soul, that being the soul of a nameless warrior. It's a fantastic item this early in the game. You won't see these around until at least midway through your playthrough. And we will even everything out, as the weapon we will be using is going to be a quality weapon. And we will reallocate our Estus flasks, and then I will show you all probably the most well-known secret in Dark Souls 3, that being the tree jump skip.
Pretty like that.
Should be quite easy. I find it a little bit simpler to do the jump if you are below 30% weight ratio, so you can fast roll. Yes, this is my character. Not very indicative of what I look like, but I just kind of messed around in the character creator for about 5 minutes. But as you can see, this is the jump you want to be making. I am a little bit rusty, I will apologize. It has been a while. There we are. And you jump up onto here, you can get yourselves a few homeward bones, which are very useful consumable items. And it sounds like my brother is playing guitar in the room right next door. I do apologize for that. He'll likely be doing that at an excessive level of volume for the remainder of the day. So, break open the illusory walls, and this, if you jump down here, this is the covetous silver serpent ring, which simply causes all enemies you kill to grant you more souls, which function more or less as the currency in this game. Alright, so we will remove the Ashen Estus flask, because we have no need of that. And we will go on what? Reinforce our Estus flask. So now we have 5 uses.
Pretty big like that.
Per bonfire touch. We'll re-equip our armor. And I'm thinking until we get over to until we get to the area where we can acquire Farron Greatsword, we will be using either the Claymore, or if I find another, or I get lucky with a drop or something, I can find another early game quality weapon. For now, we will travel to the high wall of Lothric, the first area beyond the tutorial. Now, I will be trying my hardest to show all of you all the things you can do to make your first run in Dark Souls 3 easier. This is, at least in my opinion and in my experience, one of the easier titles in such a hardcore franchise. There are a plethora of ways to ease your pain while running through this game. We have plenty of summon signs, which we will not be engaging with, as we are not so dedicated, but should you find the combat a bit too difficult, summoning phantoms will always make your experience less stressful. I'll kill this gentleman here. But as you can see, even with a +0 weapon, this area is not difficult. There are a few stronger opponents who can give you trouble, but they're not really here. And so long as you kill these gentlemen with the lanterns before they can finish their cry, you will prevent all these sleeping enemies from awakening and attacking you in mobs. You get the binoculars, a unique item. Not exceptionally useful, but not useless. And you can get yourself a very good early game buff consumable. You can get 2, I believe they're golden pine resins. Gold pine resins, yes. Those imbue a weapon that is allowed to be buffed. It imbues it with lightning damage, I believe. We get ourselves a new pair of pants. Finish off this gentleman for a few fire bombs. Fire bombs are very useful, especially early game. I have a number of strategies that are based entirely off the usage of fire bombs against some of the tougher enemies, at least in this area, and in some of the later areas. So we will first run directly up, sprint the entire way, all the way up, to this door. If we do the parkour, you can jump across the gap and open this other door. Otherwise, there is a staircase, a ladder you can run up. There is a weapon in that chest, which is not a chest, it's a mimic. Battle axe, but whatever you do, don't open that chest. It will kill you. That is my first piece of area specific advice. That gentleman right there is a Lothric knight, a far more difficult enemy than we would be used to at this point in the game. And we also have these fast attack stabby guys. Well, unfortunately, you cannot get this hood that they wear. I'd always thought that was quite an interesting looking cosmetic item, but there is no way to acquire it, at least without cheating or something of that nature. So we'll light this second bonfire, nice and easy, nice and easy. We'll run back here to acquire another Titanite shard. We have many more summon signs. We have a man with a bow, that's interesting. Someone wearing Lothric knight armor, quite nice. That is much better armor than the knight's armor, but it is significantly heavier, so we will not be farming for that at the moment. Someone put their summon sign down above me, I suppose. And we will not we didn't sit at that bonfire for the express reason that there really wasn't a need to, as we haven't lost any of our Estus, as well as the fact these big enemies are extremely easy to backstab. They're also very easy to stagger. If you are making a strength build, we're making a quality build at the moment, but if you're doing a strength character, these gentlemen with the large axes they're called great axes, they drop the weapon they're carrying, which is an extremely powerful, high damage weapon. It's the early game. Right over here, we can get up. Oh lordy. We just barely make it out alive. We have our claymore. We'll backstab this gentleman. seems we will be forced to fight the Lothric Knight. Luckily, as many of the other early game enemies are, is susceptible. Backstabs. Unfortunately, we didn't get a drop. This is that enemy in particular, due to its close location to a bonfire, is extremely good for early game both souls farming, PvE practice, which is nice, and more the focus of the early game than PvP, which is something even someone with my hundreds of hours in Dark Souls am not proficient in the slightest. But now that we have acquired a few souls, we'll head back to Firelink and grant ourselves another level. Now, as I'm sure you can hear on my keyboard, we are playing... excuse me, when my mic falls over. We are playing on keyboard and mouse, which is not ideal from what I understand. People are very opposed to playing any of the Souls games on keyboard and mouse, but I have only played Souls games on keyboard and mouse. So while it definitely isn't easy to do, or preferable for that matter, it is doable, and I'm quite happy with there are a few small benefits you can reap while using a keyboard and mouse rather than a controller, including speed of looking around. You can do this if you really need to. Just act quite stupid. But, I don't believe we have the... Oh, we do have the stats. We do have the stats for our Claymore. Fantastic. This is one of the best weapons the community has kind of accepted its worthiness, I suppose you could call it. It's very, very good. Very good quality weapon that you can acquire extremely early in the game. So, we'll be running through. Right over here, there will be an enemy that will try to climb up. You can just attack and he'll fall to his death. This gentleman, we will poke him. And now I'm going to show you the first instance of fire bombs truly being a godsend. We will, at first light, run down this ladder. I believe you can just jump off, but it's safer not to. And this enemy, you can kill this enemy while he's still in his hollow state before he has a chance to do exactly that, assume his kind of tainted bestial form. But if you throw bombs at him, they do a lot of damage, and with varying frequency, they will stun him. We'll jump off and... I was going to say deliver the finishing blow, but it seems we will die here. That is the first death. The first death. I must say I'm quite unhappy with that, but what can you do? It is Dark Souls. Those things are not fun to fight, and now we have wasted the majority of our bombs. Get another pair of pants, and that gentleman dropping their pants as soon as I walk in the building. That's not a new experience for me. As we'll finish off him. We'll just go right back to where we were, I suppose. Knock him down. Kill them, just because we can. He drops us a long sword. And we're not going to attack him just yet. extinguish him with nothing but 3 bombs and a few sword thrusts. These are crystal lizards. They drop infusing items, gems, titanite shards, titanite scales. Later in the game they can even drop. But they are always something you should kill if you are afforded the chance. And fortunately, should knock these 2 gentlemen down quite easily. I wonder what this guy dropped. Standard bolt. I would have rather a light crossbow, but that'll do. That will do. So we poke that gentleman to death. Poke is fast, it has exceptional range, and unlike our regular light attacks, it will one-shot the low-level enemies of this area. This is the other variant of Lothric Knight in the area, wielding a long winged spear, or I think that's actually just a Lothric Knight long spear, and a Lothric Knight great shield. We'll run around here, just grab the green blossoms. We have 5 fire bombs, and I believe that's all we'll really need to make it through this maze. You don't have to go through this area. It's not necessary for level progression, but it does give you quite a few valuable resources should you run through and kill everything and loot everything. Right in this chest right here, next to this vagrant, is the kite shield. Silver Eagle kite shield, to be more precise, which is the earliest available 100 physical block shield in the game. Very useful item. And now we will use another one of my favorite bomb lobbing spots. Oop, we didn't want that. We wanted that. There we are. Wait for that dog to get a little closer. Get the both of them right there. And hit this gentleman with that, prematurely ending his life. And now we can run down here, as this guy's pathing doesn't make him run near any bombs. Just go for the backstab. It's always easier. Get another raw gem. Raw gems are, in my opinion, useless unless you're doing some kind of very, very niche build with low stat investment. I would not waste souls or weapons investing in such an upgrade path. So, right over here, we already got it, is the Titanite Shard, which is another very useful early game item. We will be upgrading this sword likely to level 1 plus 1 in the near future. It seems the winged knight that usually walks around this area has vanished. Oh no, he's sitting down there. Interesting, I've never had that happen to me before. He usually patrols this circle. Not a tough enemy to avoid, but he does do a significant amount of damage. So we will be avoiding him. He does seem to be quite heavily bugged. As we best that gentleman with naught but a single poke. We'll run past these two Lothric knights. Ooh, as we aggro one of them. That right there is an item which we will likely grab on our way out, but in order to fight the second boss and progress, you must go into this room and talk to this lady.
I am Emma, High Priestess of Lothric Castle. Allow me to speak frankly. You will not find the Lords of Cinder here. They have to their journey homes, converging at the base of this castle. Head to the bottom of the high wall, forge on through the great gate, and raise this banner to proceed. This farewell gift is for you. It is the insignia of an old covenant. If you fear trespassers, dark spirits drawn by the embers, then etch this upon your heart, and the old Concord will beckon noble blue sentinels to hunt these foul spirits. Unkindled one, head to the high wall's base. Go through the great gate and raise this banner to proceed. But beware. The dog keeps a close eye on things. The vile watchdog of the Boreal Valley.
That is a reference to the first actual boss in this title. That being a secret. I think I will get him to run in and do that. We should be able to backstab him. Finish him off quite handedly. This is the Lucerne. It's a halberd type weapon which deals thrust damage rather than slashing or standard damage. So it can benefit from the counter attack damage buff that piercing weapons get. If you hit an enemy right before they're about to attack you with a thrusting weapon, it will deal additional counter thrust damage, which is quite useful in most scenarios. I do believe this gentleman is finally fixing his pathing, which is fantastic. And if you can make this jump, you'll grab yourself a ring of sacrifice. Oh, you do want me, don't you, sir? I don't know if it's possible to farm him. It doesn't seem easy, even if it is possible. But I don't see why it wouldn't. I don't believe he has any issues respawning. It's not like the Black Knights. Yes, there is a little bit of an ambush here. Some more green blossoms right back there. And we'll run up this elevator. This is the shortcut to the boss battle, the boss room. It's much easier to get there via this elevator and this door, which is currently locked from the other side, but can be opened from this one. So we will continue. Now, right outside this door is one of these large gentlemen. We will make short work of. Simple backstab to heavy combo. But before we stop advancing, we will go back to Firelink Shrine, grant ourselves an additional level, and get on with upgrading our Claymore. Now, that area that we just came from is right here in relation to the first bonfire. And unfortunately, that door down in that tower right there is locked. That's why we had to run all the way through. So that's the reason I didn't go down and show you the area previously. It seems some of the people want to... Oh, can we not? There we are. It seems some of the phantoms in this area want to 1v1 here. This is a pretty common spot, or not even later game, but like new game plus fights. Very, very common area, as it's basically just a nice, simple, circular arena on flat ground. And we will level up our strength, I think we should do. Okay. And we will upgrade our weapon. And then we will go on to do battle with the boss, I do believe. Ooh, and we do have the Estus shard we recently acquired, maxing out our Estus for the area, being 6 total. Now we have a +1 claymore, running with 151 damage. And unfortunately we need one more level to one-hand it, but our attack power is all the way up to 184, which is fantastic for such a weapon with a good move set. So, I'm thinking that now we also got a key down by that dog in the unnecessary area, so I will show you how to get one of the NPC traders, that being Grey Rat the Thief. Very, very short ride from this second bonfire, the High Wall of Lothric. Tower on the Wall bonfire, I believe it's called. Now we are one-shotting these low level enemies. It's a very nice change. Even with a running attack. But if you head down this ladder, rather than going out that door where we went previously, you will encounter this large fellow wielding a halberd, who is just as susceptible, if not more so, to the unfortunate moveset of being very easy to backstab, as his larger, more physically able cousin, the great axe wielding large hollow. The halberd's moveset is more diverse than the great axe, but in terms of just raw damage, the great axe is truly something to behold. Just run through his dialogue. He'll grant you the blue Tearstow ring, which will boost your damage absorption by a reasonably significant margin while your HP is below a certain threshold. So we will continue on. There is another locked door for a secret area, which I will show you how to get to quite soon. But first, we will head back to Firelink Shrine and speak with Grey Rat. He is the best trader early game by far. The Handmaiden sells unique items, but most of the consumables she sells are vastly overpriced compared to Grey Rat. So we will travel back to Firelink Shrine for a moment and speak with him. I will also be showing you how to advance his storyline, for it is, to say the least, extremely necessary if you wish to acquire better items, or specific items that you can really only get through him this early in the game. So this is Grey Rat of the Undead Settlement. I usually use him to purchase fire bombs, as they are a very rare commodity this early in the game. You can get long swords, a bastard sword, which is a short gray sword that only deals standard damage. It's quite similar to the claymore, which we are using currently, but just different move set for the most part. Mostly the heavy attack is a different move. We have the mace, which is one of the best weapons in the game, especially for PvP. It's a simple spear and a light crossbow, as well as 4 different kinds of shields, and the starting armor for the warrior class in the first Dark Souls, that just being standard or hard leather. We also have standard arrows and standard bolts, as well as fire arrows and the thief mask, which is similar
Goodbye.
to the one which you cannot acquire on those hollows in the on the high wall, but not quite the same, and it doesn't have that appeal that that one does. So we will now travel back to the high wall of Lothric Bonfire and attempt to beat the vile watchdog of the Boreal Valley, whose actual name, not just title. Well, I don't know if being called vile is much of a title, but he will be quite apparent to us all in merely a moment. We'll kill them just to make sure we're not going to get attacked while we're going around here. You can run through and just jump on the elevator and hope they don't make it to you before you can run through. But instead of fighting... Ooh, wow. That was quite impressive. But rather than fighting those hollows, we'll just run through here. No worries whatsoever. Oh my. It seems my incorrigible parents need me, so... Alright. Apologies for that. They're more than a bit timely. But before we do this... Actually, no, we'll... yes, but before we do this, we will equip that gold pine resin we were speaking so highly of earlier, and begin the boss fight. We'll skip the cutscene, apply the resin to our weapon, so we have 1 minute of increased damage. Ooh. It seems I'm just as rusty as I likely should be. For this first stage, it is universally accepted as wreck move to get behind him and if you can dodge. Oops, seems we got a little bit of frostbite damage. But as you can see, that boss is quite simple, quite easily defeated. And as we get our ember restored, we didn't even run out of buff. We'll light the boss room bonfire and de-equip this. And ladies and gentlemen, that will be all for this first episode, the pilot episode, as we've had many of in this channel. The pilot episode for the Dark Souls 3 quality build playthrough here on the channel. I have been the Irish Kaiser, and I bid you all a good night.